Hello, I'm Ranjan Kumar, founder Mystic Fusion International and authentic self-leadership coach. Well, I thought it's my responsibility to speak about something that's so overwhelming, that's so massive, and that has spread across the world, and which we will not be able to ignore any further, and that's coronavirus. When I speak about coronavirus, I treat it like any other epidemic or any other situation that our ancestors might have dealt with a little lesser population. But there is something significant, there is something more important that's happening beneath the surface. Hope you understand that any situation has a positive perspective and a negative perspective, and I would like to invest some time in talking about both the positive side of that and the negative side of that. When I say positive and negative, I mean a positive is something that is progressive and that helps us evolve further. A negative side is something that is regressive and that helps us prevent from our real evolution. So when I say positive, let's go back to negative. When I see the death toll, when I see the number of people suffering, when I see a couple of videos where people have been suffering, they are probably in the last stage of their health condition because of coronavirus. This is really terrible and very, very, very annoying. The reason why? Because we are such a huge population today that it really bothers, it really concerns us to even imagine what level it's going to escalate to, and probably how many of us are going to suffer. A survey says that in about a year, almost half the population of this world would be in the clutches of coronavirus. At the same time, it's also a pity that there have been warnings earlier. There have been remarks about such a war earlier, and even topmost business people, some of the world leaders had predicted that we are prepared for a war, but we aren't prepared for a virus war. And when I say, I don't mean to say that this is a war from one particular country, but the problem is that entire humanity is at war as of now. And going by the situation, do you see the point that until 2 days ago, until 3 days ago, we were thinking that, of course, some hugely populated cities might be under in the clutches of this virus. But as of now, the situation has so much escalated that states have become those castles which are barring people from other states, and the entire, as a nation, there are two things happening. We can't even say that the nations and the states are joining hands, because we have been asked not to join hands, and we are back to our previous culture of namaste. And the reason I say this is because what all is happening at two levels. One which is at a visible level, and one which is at an invisible level. At a visible level, do you see, until 2 days ago or 3 days ago, we were cool. We were imagining that, okay, this will take at least 6-7 months to spread across the two-tier cities and two-tier towns. But now it is proved that it's a rapid fire, and it's spreading so fast. Probably it will be very difficult for us to contain and to curtail ourselves from this virus unless we follow a certain precautions. And probably this is the first time India is going through a Janata Curfew, a curfew we have accepted voluntarily at the appeal of the Prime Minister. But do you see something? Do you see something that is happening worldwide? If you see, then you'll probably agree that India is doing its best to protect its citizens. But at the same time, were we prepared for it? Absolutely no. Were we prepared for any such thing? Absolutely no. Then what is the way out? The way out is way in. And I come back to the same thing. There are two sides of any such catastrophe. And there is one that is a visible side, and there is one that is the invisible side. The visible side is the medical side. The visible side is the alarming condition of the situation, and which banks upon the caution that you take, the precautions that you follow, and how you maintain your hygiene. The invisible side is always inside. Now, that is related to what you feel about the situation, and your mindset, if you believe is disconnected to what's happening, probably I would want you to reconsider that, because there is nothing in this world which your mindset cannot influence and probably is not already doing it. And my question is, how are you responding to this situation? And because how you respond banks upon how you think about the situation and how you feel about the situation. And the most important thing that I request you to be watchful of is panic. Do not panic and do not spread panic. But at the same time, what has panic to do with what's already happening outside? It has everything to do, because your panic is an answer. Your panic is a feeling, and your feeling is coming from what you think in the moment. And what you think in the moment is always and always being influenced by what you see, what you listen, and what information you allow from outside. Now, 50% of what you think or 60% of what you think might be under the influence of what you are watching or what you are listening or what you are speaking. But 50% is only about making some space for quality idea to emerge out of you. When this is not conscious thinking, or this is not law of attraction, I bring back, I say that this is not the time you speak about, imagination or visualization. This is a time you just be who you are. This is a time you just allow for the real substance to come out. This is the time you be the real you and allow some intuition to work. Why? Because this is the time that humanity is not waiting for more and more information. Why? We have so much of information and which is already creating panic. So there must be something, there must be an other way. And that other way is always and always drawing you inside within towards the real you. Why? Because it's the real you that can prevent any further damage. It's the real you which can help you make some space for the quality ideas and quality discussions. It is the real you which can make some space for a healthy mindset. And this is high time that we start understanding that our authentic self knows that our sense of security doesn't come from the virus. Virus is a reality. It's a biological reality. Wherever you go, you need to prevent yourselves. You need to take precautions. At the same time, there is something that you need to do, and that is to create a mindset that you do not panic about what's happening, because panic is a result of the question that you're asking yourself, and that question is, where do I draw my sense of security from? As long as you think that your sense of security comes from something outside, then probably anything outside can create a panic in your mindset. The moment, and if you think that it's just me, let me tell you, it was never the case, and we were never individuals. Now there are two kinds of situations. One is where you find information from outside and you think that, okay, these many people have died and this has spread to my nearby place and this has come to my city now, so it's high time we need to panic. Let me tell you, this is how we have been trained and educated to believe in. You need not do that. And the right perspective to understand that as an authentic self-leader is to see that panic is an answer. Panic is a feeling. And panic is a feeling to a thought, and your thoughts and you need to focus on where is the base of this thought which is actually bringing this panic. And the most important reason, most common reason would be that you would be believing that my sense of security comes from something outside. And that is exactly why you believe more in the information than in the inside. When you start understanding this perspective, probably it's time universe is asking you to focus somewhere else. It's time universe is sending a message for all of us to decode. It's time universe is so solidly communicating something we were probably ignoring for a very, very, very long time. In such a huge world, in such a hugely populated, hugely developed world, can you imagine that we are at a place where all the countries have locked down themselves, all the states have locked down themselves, and all the people have locked down themselves, quarantined themselves in their own houses? Then what could be the message? This is not something to ignore, and this is not something to panic, because this is happening at such a massive level that we need to be authentic self-leaders and understand the reality of it. What is the underlying message? What is that the universe is trying to, what is the point that universe is trying to draw home, and where is it asking us to focus? And it is, some of the, you can do that by observing some of the outcomes, some of the steps that we are being forced to take because of this outbreak. The most important step we see is people are requested to self-quarantine themselves. People are requested to be in their own homes. People are requested to wish each other with a namaste, and everything that is happening is probably drawing us closer and closer and closer to our families, to our own people, to our own houses, and to our own bodies. You see the massive change that is happening? People who never had time to spend with their families, look at it this way. The positive side is you are now forced by the nature to spend time with your families. People who never cared about their hygiene are forced back to think about themselves at a physiological level, at a mental level, at an emotional level, and a spiritual level. Well, this is high time we started retracking and reflecting on where it all emerged from and what is happening. Probably it's high time we stopped blaming one country for it, because nobody knew that this is going to happen, and probably if at all there was a malice behind it, if at all there was a malintention behind it, let the universe take care of it. But as long as the universe is sending us messages, it becomes our authentic responsibility to observe for every reaction and response that is happening. And the most important factor which relates panic to us is our own immune system. I want to draw your attention that our immune is a system which is helping us identify and acknowledge our own potential at a physical level, at a mental level, and at a spiritual level as well. And panic is a habitual action that we are still stuck with, and the more we panic, the more we damage our immune system. And the only prevention that can help us until a further vaccination is invented or discovered is not to panic, because the only medicine we have, the only tool we have, the only weapon we have is our own immune system. The better our immune, the better our responses would be. So I would want you to look within. I would want you to spend time, quality time with your own self and with your own families, and not to bother about, not to be too concerned that it becomes worrisome. It damages your health, and it probably even creates excessive concern in and around our families. It's time we stayed back, it's time we stayed healthy, and it's time we started reconsidering the design of life that we have been following. It's time we started understanding that there is a missing link which the universe is asking us to connect and find and explore. And the only way is to have an open mind and have an open heart to whatever is happening. And instead of I request you to come out of that anger, that frustration, that concern, that excessive negative concern and worry, and most importantly, a blame mindset, because this is going to happen. And I see people getting frustrated on the governments, on people, on the civic bodies, on the authorities. Friends, it's high time we started understanding that we all have a responsibility. We all share a responsibility for whatever is emerging right now in front of our eyes. And the most important factor, at the end of this video, I would like to draw your attention to is that there are always two sides of whatever is happening, the visible side and the invisible side. The visible side also we were not prepared to face. In the invisible side, we are probably still ignoring. And I would want you to understand that it is only the invisible that we are fighting right now. And we have always had a tendency to ignore that's invisible. We were always prepared for something that is visible, might be. We were prepared for some war at the border of the country, but we were not prepared for the war that's going to happen at the end of your body, at your own skin, and probably which is invisible. And there are many such invisible factors which combine together to make this situation. I request you to see these both sides of the game. There is a visible side of the game and there is always an invisible side. And we are not just alone in this. Hence, it becomes our fullest responsibility to treat this situation with a great mindset, a progressive mindset, a mindset which will allow us to help our next generations build that immune, build that responsibility, and build that self-love, which it probably will require in future. All the best, and my best wishes are with you and your family. My love to you, my love to everyone who is going through this suffering. And please start spreading the message of care, start spreading the message of love, and start spreading the message of authentic self-leadership, which is the most important factor required at this point of time all around the world. Love you.